everyone.
Bekle.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depends on where you are joining us today. We wish you a wonderful day. We are so excited to be with you as part of the GLOTECH Technology and Artificial Intelligence Conference. Of course, we are connecting to you virtually. And my colleague, Dr. İpek Yücelen, and I, Dr. Sedan Dogan, will deliver 2 workshops today. First, we will start with teaching with AI, and then we will continue with research with AI. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to my colleague, Dr. İpek Yücelen. And İpek, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Sedan. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's workshop. It's AI for Teaching, Unlocking New Possibilities in Education. I am from University of South Florida and from the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. As my colleague Sedan said, we're gonna give this workshop to you together today. Let's start. So our workshop goals, first of all, we're gonna take a look at AI foundations. We're gonna see what AI can do and AI cannot do. And it is important to know the mechanisms of how AI works to understand its behavior. And then we're gonna take a look at current tools and trends, like how these tools can help us improve our teaching and classroom experience for our students. And I'm hoping you will leave with some practical strategies so that you can implement them in your next classes. And also gonna take a look at some ethical considerations. Of course, with every time we have a new technology, there are some challenges that comes with it. So we're gonna take a look at those challenges. And at the end, you will have a roadmap for integrating AI into your teaching. So what is AI? It is actually a computer system that mimics human intelligence. And when we say that, that is kind of sounds scary because people, that's why scared of it. It sounds like it is mimicking human intelligence, but it is actually not thinking as humans do. So it is important, therefore, to understand how it works. All it does is it is trained by a database. So think about a computer system that reads all the books available in the literature. So it absorbs all that information from literature, from internet. So it has this database, data set in it. So all it does, it predicts information, it predicts a response based on your question, looking at this database and looking at the patterns in its database, and it predicts the next sentence, next words that should come based on the probability based on its database. So if we want to give example to that, how it actually works, because it is important to understand how it works when we want to explain why it sometimes generates false information. So essentially, if you ask AI, explain the benefits of renewable energy, what it's going to do is it's going to look at its database and it's going to see that words or sentences that comes together with renewable energy. And it is going to predict the next word. For example, it's going to say renewable energy provides. After that prediction, it's going to predict the next word. Like renewable energy provides what? Sustainable source of power. After sustainable source of power, it's going to predict based on its database what is the most common word that comes after that. Basically, it's going to add that reduces greenhouse gas emission. So that is how AI works. It's basically a probability game based on these statistical patterns. From looking at the patterns in the database, it provides you an answer. It doesn't really think like humans do. Like the human creativity doesn't exist in AIs. In order to get a satisfactory answer from an AI, as you can see, because it looks at its database to give you an answer, we need to ask a question that is very detailed. And asking question to an AI, we call this prompting. It's actually called prompt engineering. It is becoming a skill. It's an important skill because if I desire a certain output from AI, I might need to engineer my prompt in a very detailed way. Otherwise, the response it gives you is not going to be very satisfactory. So if you want to generate a good prompt so that you get whatever the desired answer from the AI, first of all, you should define the action. So what do you want AI to do? Explain, analyze, brainstorm, or summarize. Next, you want to ask an input. For example, what is the format do you want? Do you want it to generate a quiz, multiple choice questions, outline, handout? This is also important. Next is the tone. This is something I ignored for a long time, but defining the tone is very important. If you want to generate a fun response or academic or motivational response, you can also ask for that by defining the tone. And the context, this is also very important. Who is your audience? For example, in the past, I had to generate content for K-12 students because I'm an engineering major, right? I need to simplify my language, and I got help from AI in that sense. Once I defined my audience and the level and learning goals to the AI, the context, of course, I get a better outcome from it. So essentially, effective prompting is the bridge between human intention, what we want to achieve, and AI capability. So before we go into generative AI in higher education, we all know that there are people around us usually says, I totally banned the use of AI in my classes, or some people says like using AI is not a good thing, and which these are all, of course, acceptable perspectives, because as I said, it's a new technology and it can be scary, especially we are saying it's mimicking human intelligence, and talking to a computer that acts like a human can be scary for people. It is normal, people are scared, but AI is already around us. We are already using AI without even knowing it. For example, think about traditional AIs. You are watching Netflix, and when you open Netflix, it suggests you certain movie recommendation based on your watch history. So essentially what it does, it records data from you. It observes your watch history. So it collects the data and all other viewers' data, and then it predicts, based on that, it predicts some movies to watch for you. So we are actually surrounded with AI already, but this is traditional AI. When it comes to generative AI, what is the difference? So generative AI, as the name says, hints us, it generates new information, okay? It generates videos, it generates images, it generates data. And so instead of seeing AI something that is scary, we can see it as a creative collaborator, something that helps us to improve our teaching as instructors. It saves a lot of time, and it saves time, and that saved time we can use it to create more meaningful experiences with our students. It actually suggested me in the past very different class activities that helped to form this bonding with my students. So it comes up with creative activities, can enrich the classroom experience for our students. So the idea is we can see AI, it's not a tool that is replacing human. It can never replace the human creativity or judgment. It cannot do that. But we can see it as a tool that supports our teaching practices and helps us, saves time. Why this matters now? So according to a recent survey, the source is right there, already 86% of students using AI. So AI is not going anywhere. And we know that it is already here and the students are already using it, especially ChatGPT, AI tools like ChatGPT. So I think banning or not letting students use it is not a very good option. We need to come up with other strategies. And as educators, we need to lead the way. We need to teach our students how to use AI more effectively so we can maximize the learning, and how to use AI ethically. Where are the limits? And of course, also for preparing our students for the workforce, nowadays employees are increasingly using AI tools, and AI skills are becoming important when we are looking for preparing our students for their future careers. Recent studies have shown that already 72% of the faculty members recently surveyed, they are already using generative AI in their practices. In fact, 38% of them found it very useful using AI to create tutorials, study guides, and 36% found it useful to create images, visualizations, and another 36% used it very effectively in course design. Seden, I want to ask you, what is your biggest curiosity or concern about AI in education? And what is one thing you hope to learn and take away from this workshop? And also, I want our audience to think about these things.
Thank you. Curiosity, how far this AI could go. And I think my biggest concern is that the students are leaning on AI way more than it should be. And sometimes I encounter assignments that has been
Yes.
copied and pasted directly from AI. So I think this workshop is very important, what you are doing right now, because first of all, we need to know what to do with AI and generative AI, and then we should educate our students how to use AI responsibly. But on the other side, it's evolving every day, actually every single second. So I really want to know how far it can go. This is my curiosity. And one thing I hope to learn or take away from this workshop, of course, I want to know best practices, or what our audience is also using, which tools they are using. That's why this is my most probably will be the biggest takeaway from the workshop. And in addition to that, I would like to repeat what Ipek said. Please share your own experience with AI in the chat box, which tools you are using, which concerns you have, or what is your biggest curiosity. So as soon as I see your comments, I will share it with Ipek. Thank you, Ipek.
Thank you, Seden. Yes, all those questions, thank you very much. We're going to answer all those in this workshop. And let's dive in. Okay, so let's start with looking at the available tools, writing and brainstorming tools. These tools are easily accessible. They have free versions, and I think these tools are the starting point for the instructors or professors that have never used AI. So these platforms like ChatGPT, Cloud, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot are some examples, but there are also other ones. As Sedan said, we cannot keep up with it because constantly people are developing new AIs. We also have Grok by X and DeepSeek. And so all these models, they are called LLM. Stands for large language models, meaning they can communicate, understand human language, and they can communicate with you in language. So So these are good starting points. There are differences between them, of course. And let me go through those differences. For example, ChatGPT has multimodal capabilities. That means you can communicate in terms of text, not only text, it can also create images and do voice processing. You can talk to it. And however, if you're concerned about the privacy, there are some concerns, because essentially ChatGPT is also getting trained with your inputs. So it is getting when you input the data, it also puts it into its database. So there are some privacy concerns. You don't want to share private information there. And cloud is better in that sense. If you think about the privacy, it doesn't your data input for training purposes. And it is also known to handle long documents. And Google Gemini, advantage of Google Gemini, similar to ChatGPT, multimodal processing, it is also used very smoothly with Google tools like Google Documents, Google Sheets. It is integrated with those. And Microsoft Copilot is similar to Google Gemini, but this time it works well with Microsoft Office tools, like you can create PowerPoint presentations and you can share Excel sheet, analyze data from an Excel sheet, like that. Of course, each of those has strengths and weaknesses, but there are differences between them. The difference comes from the way they were trained. They are trained with different databases in a different way. That is why when you ask a question to different AIs, you might get different answers because of the way they are trained and the database they are trained with. Yes. So we are leaving you to experiment with those yourself, experiment with different AIs and find the best one that suits to your needs. So let's do an activity, Seden. Why don't you basically try 2 different AI tools? Choose one from this list, Copilot, ChatGPT, Grok, whichever one, 2 of those you choose, and write the same prompt. Suggest 5 strategies for using generative AI in my certain class, you can say, and read us the answers. Do we observe differences, and tell us which AI tools you used?
Okay. Now, I am using ChatGPT and Grok, which is AI, constantly to do a lot of things, which you are going to talk about. So right now, I gave the same exact prompt to Grok, XAI, and generative ChatGPT. I am sorry. So the results are totally different.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
ChatGPT gave me bullet points, and Grok gave me paragraphs with examples. So why this is like this? Most probably, I've been using this Grok and ChatGPT for a long time, and as you mentioned, they are learning from me. They are learning what kind of responses I ask or what kind of responses I expect from them to deliver. So I am working with ChatGPT more like bullet points, item related things. For example, instructions for an assignment, bullet points, right? But on the other side, I'm working with Grok more like in converting those bullet points into paragraphs to update and revise my syllabus. So 2 different purposes, the same question, but the responses are different. Most probably everybody will are or already are experiencing the same thing. I would like to share what I have received from ChatGPT. So ChatGPT gave me 5 practical strategies: 1, AI-powered case studies; AI-assisted guest service simulation; content creation for hospitality marketing; hospitality history and trend summaries; and AI as a study and reflection partner for my introduction to hospitality class. So each strategy has bullet points. But on the other side, Grok gave me totally different strategies virtual guest speaker simulation, case studies and generation for problem solving, personalized learning modules, interactive role play scenarios, and trend analysis and discussion prompts. You see, the strategies are totally different. In addition
Yes.
to that, Rob gave me not bullet points, but paragraph that explain the instructions for the strategies.
Perfect. Thank you for showing us that there we might encounter differences. All those answers were actually very creative teaching tools that can be employed by our audience, and we let everyone to explore it themselves, and whichever one you feel comfortable with and whichever one you think satisfies what you're looking for, you can continue using those. And of course, when you are starting to use different tools, we suggest that you take notes. For example, which prompts gave you better results? Which AI actually gave you more satisfactory answer or better answer? Take a note of those once you are experimenting with those tools, so it will help you in the future. Okay, I'm continuing. I think one of the best AI tools are AI-powered note-taking tools and summaries. So essentially, what these tools do is they listen to you, and then they convert your speech, spoken language, to transcription, okay? So they convert it to text, which is amazing. So essentially, these tools, some examples are Otter AI, Noto AI, and Microsoft Teams AI. Now, what you can do with these tools are limitless. Some students are using those, so you can suggest your students to use it. They essentially record your lectures, and they end up summarizing your lectures and even create summaries and study guides from your lectures. And that is what it's doing, basically real-time transcription, what is happening. And Noto AI has some other advantages. It can actually translate the spoken language into, of course, into a text. It writes it in text, but 58 languages, which is very important because sometimes I encounter some international students when it's their first time at the United States. They might have trouble understanding my English. What now they can do is take my speech and convert it to text, and then convert to their own language and read it, which is amazing. And of course, now AI is also integrated in Microsoft Teams. No more, you don't have to take notes during your meetings, faculty meetings. It will just listen and summarize and give you the summary and actionable items, actually. Well, I have a subscription to Alter AI. That is what I'm going to show you today. Essentially, as I said, it just has automatic transcription. It provides smart summaries, and it is really good quality. It's really good quality. And it also helps some students if they have disabilities. And it provides searchable content. So from the summary, if you click on the transcript, it will directly take you to the point where I was talking about that text. So it will directly go to the spoken language. And I will try to show everybody. And if it's not working well, then let me know. But this is my screen I'm sharing. And this is the Otter AI.
Yes, we can see your screen. No problem.
Okay, so I recorded one of my lectures. For example, I'm teaching materials engineering. So here I recorded my lectures, and it's basically, there is my transcript. It identifies the people who speaks. For example, I can say speaker one is me, tag it as EPEC. So then it identifies the speakers, the transcript is here, it creates summary from it, action items. And if, let's say, a student wants to go to the place where you are talking about this item, for example, he can just, or she can just click on it and view it in the transcription. If you click on those words, it's gonna basically, you're gonna hear my name. I don't know if it's gonna work now, but you're gonna hear my I'm sorry, not the name, I'm gonna hear my voice. Okay, so that is how Otter AI works. and it has some creative applications, I believe. Of course, for students, it has, and of course, for the instructor, it has. So I'm going to talk about some creative applications you can use, create with using this AI. First of all, you can record your lectures and create lecture handouts. From these lecture handouts, you can create study guides, because students are very interested in getting those study guides, using them before the exams. If you have guest speakers, you can record the guest speakers and create a summary, and maybe you can share it with your students. In faculty meetings, in conferences, even for this workshop, you can record it, and here are the notes. You no need to anymore take notes for any of our meetings. And if you are doing research, meaning during your research you are interviewing different people, you can record the interview and analyze the data and come up with common themes between those interviewed focus groups. And I'm going to briefly talk about, like, we have, as we said, it's difficult to keep up with. A lot of different creative tools are being created, but some of them I'm going to mention today are these, some creative tools that will transform the education. One of them is DALL-E. DALL-E comes from Salvador Dali, the famous painter, actually. Essentially, it gets your text and converts it to visuals, images, which can enrich your presentations and the learning experience for your students, for visual learning. It supports visual learning. And we have Sora. Let me see. Sora is where you enter your text, it generates a video from your prompts. So again, this can help with enhancing comprehension and retention for your students. I create some animations for my presentations, actually. And Kahoot. Kahoot, most of you might be aware of Kahoot. Kahoot is basically a platform that helps you create quiz games. You can play with your students in the class, and let me tell you, my students love it. The Kahoot is the mostly mentioned word in my course evaluation. They love it. Each time we are done with a chapter, we play a Kahoot game. But in the past, it was taking me a long time to generate the questions for the Kahoot game. However, now it's very simple. Let me try to show you, because AI is now integrated into Kahoot. Hopefully everything works well. Let me know it doesn't. But here is my Kahoot. And if you have access to Kahoot, it requires subscription. And you can see they have some training available to people who never used Kahoot, or there are already Kahoot games available, multiple choice quizzes. You can play with your students from the database of itself. You can search for what you're looking for, or with the AI, you can in a second create activities and quizzes that you can play those games with your students. I think from home, here is the button, save time and create Kahoots with AI generator, Kahoot AI generator. So what is amazing is you can generate Kahoot games from your PDF, upload your presentation slides, or much more impressive thing you can do is record your lecture with Otter AI and get the transcription, what you mentioned in the classroom, and upload it here as PDF. And from what you talked about in the lecture, you can now create a game, and you can basically get a feedback how well your students actually understood what you're talking about in the classroom. Besides those, you can, of course, choose the language skill level, your tone. Sometimes I create funny Kahoot games, and the wording is so fun. I mean, the students really like it. And how many questions do you want to ask? Well, you can even just from a single prompt can generate Kahoot questions. I'm going to create, of course, if we're lucky, we can come up with something. Enter your topic, so introduction. Perfect. To Hospitality and tourism. Okay. Oh, I entered it wrong. Anyways. Okay. So it generates the questions in an instant, right? Of course, this is a template. If you don't like it, you can change those questions. But here is questions are ready for you. Just publish this quiz and start playing with your students. Okay. And then there are amazing AI tools which gets your text and converts it to professional video. They, as if someone is talking about your text, like you can use human-looking human avatars essentially, and presenting your content. This is very important if you are dealing with online classes and you want to generate high quality videos for your lectures. Lumen 5 is one of those tools that you can create a video from text. I am planning to use this for the syllabus lectures because syllabus lectures are usually boring for students. But when I enter my important points in my syllabus and ask this Lumen 5 AI to generate a video, it can create a video that is very engaging for our students. Okay. Okay, I think I mentioned the Kahoot. All right. Now, presentation tools you can use today. So these are amazing tools when you are creating presentations, because we know that creating presentations takes a long time. And one way I use ChatGPT is actually that helped me a lot is to create the outline for my presentations. Based on that outline, I was able to prepare better presentations. But visually, if you wanna take it from ordinary to extraordinary, these are the AI tools. Usually they have free versions, but for advanced features, you wanna get a subscription. So Beautiful AI, Gamma app, and Canva AI. For this presentation, for example, the workshop presentation today, I used Gamma app, and it's incredible. So if I can have an access, if I can show it to everyone. Let me see. Hopefully it is already logged in. Okay, so okay, so what you can do is you can paste your text. For example, with Auto AI, you recorded your lecture, and the whole lecture you want to convert to a presentation very quickly. In few seconds, you have a presentation. And then you can actually upload your already prepared presentation. It enhances visually. Or you can just say one word. Okay, so I'm going to say, describe what you would like to make. Presentation for first day of introduction to hospitality course. Let's see. Of course, you can choose how many slides you want. Okay, so it's gonna create quickly. You can directly use it or you can edit it. This is a template and it is giving you some ideas. And then I'm gonna say, I can choose everything, minimal word, or what should be the, basically the template. You can choose what images you wanna choose from. You wanna find images from internet or realistic AI created images. You then click on generate and you're gonna see, of course, it's gonna generate an amazing presentation for you. And then, of course, now it is generating based on the template we chose. And one by one, each of those are, you can edit, change the images, what type of images you want. That's it. I mean, to me, this is very important if you want to create visually attractive presentations. So I'm not going to continue with this because it takes some time. I'm going to go back to my presentation. Okay. Some other tools, modern assessment tools, I can talk about. GradeScope. So GradeScope is essentially you upload your students' exams or assignments, and it just from an AI generated rubric, it grades them automatically. It's gonna save you a lot of time, especially if you have 180 students in your class like I do. However, based on the workshops I attended in my university, they don't suggest us to use this platform, but I'm telling you if you want to explore, because some privacy concerns. Essentially, when you upload exam from a student, it knows the students' names, of course, the grade they received, right? So some privacy concerns there. And then Edu8 AI is like ChatGPT, but this time it is created for teaching purposes only, based on the pedagogical techniques, pedagogical tools that were, of course, developed using real research. So you can also explore that platform, can generate assignments and learning techniques and teaching activities. You can take a look at that platform too. What is also amazing to me is the AIs that can get the text and convert to audio. And these AIs, incredible examples, OpenAI Voice Engine, Meta Voice Box, and Microsoft Wall-E. How they gonna help you in your teaching and help your students to learn? First of all, it supports different learning style, because let's be honest, nobody wants to read a huge text, right? I prefer listening to it. So some students will want to listen to it. So you can take your lecture notes from Auto AI and convert them to an audio, and then give it to your students, and they can listen, even doing multitasking. They are exercising, they are listening to your content. Some students prefer those things. Of course, it will also support our students with disabilities. And what is much more amazing than this, actually, there are AIs that can create podcasts from a text. And I have seen some instructors use that. So you input your lectures, it generates it as a podcast, like conversational interview, like as if the information you are providing is discussed between different people. And this found to be very effective. Some students prefer this type of listening approach, that they learn better. Sedan, I hope you're still listening to me. So which AI tools were new to you? And I'm also asking to our audience, of course, which one was particularly interesting, and would you like to try it out for your courses?
Yes, definitely. First of all, thank you so much. I already learned a lot
It was
because I was only using, ChatGPT and Grok. And ChatGPT is integrated with DALL-E, and I create
yes,
like images and other stuff. But on the other side, Otter AI and Microsoft Copilot also giving you transcription. And I usually use them to summarize, for example, a meeting. And the idea of after inviting guest speaker, summarizing what guest speaker talked in the classroom. I love that idea because I host a lot of guest speakers. And on the other side, podcast creation, I particularly love that. And video and audio creation, I also particularly like that. I will definitely find a way to integrate them into my classes.
yes, thank you, Sedan. Yes, every day they are developing new tools.
Yes.
Yes, and hopefully we as instructors, we can have access to most of them, because usually they require, as I said, subscriptions. Maybe our institutions will provide us some guidance, maybe help us to use them more freely, and we have the access to them, hopefully. All right, so all right, from now on, I would like to talk about how can we, like practical aspects, how can we enhance our courses using AI? Mostly, of course, ChatGPT or other LLMs, large language models. We can use AI for course preparation. When we are preparing our courses, syllabuses, it saves a lot of time. And content creation, what activities we can come up with. Are there any creative activities AI can suggest? And that would enrich, of course, learning experience for our students. And then there are assessment tools, like how can we create, for example, multiple choice quizzes? Can we create rubrics? And how we can generate a rubric? So these things are also important and helps us to save time. And of course, communication, most of us are using nowadays to draft announcements or emails and give feedback to our students, of course, getting help from AI. And then it also saves time for us. So let's take a look at the course preparation. I'm going to give you some practical applications. Hopefully, you will be inspired by those examples. I'm going to give it to you today. Usually, when we are preparing our classes, we need to prepare the syllabus. And for the syllabus, sometimes we add how to succeed in this course guide. And you can also, this can be a separate guide too, a separate handout. But this is very important, I believe, because you are the one who is knowledgeable and you know how to be successful in that course you are teaching, what it takes to get a good grade. So you want to convey this idea to your students. You want to let them know before the semester starts. So you can enter the AI what you expect from your students, like attend class regularly, ask questions when you're confused, office hours, attend office hours. So list all those things that you expect from a student that is necessary to be successful, and describe the tone. Like, do you want it to be a motivational language? That's good. And in a motivational way, it can generate how to succeed in this course guide. What I love about mentioning in this guide is, I tell my students is they need to do a lot of mistakes on the way to success, because each time they are learning they are doing a mistake, they are learning from them, and the next time they are not going to repeat. So because if they don't try and they don't make mistakes and learn from those, of course they're going to wait for the exam to make mistakes, and they don't want to do that, right? To wait for the exam to make mistakes and learn from it is too late. All right. So another idea is you can create a course welcome that you can add to your syllabus. And you can create a motivational or fun course welcome. And some professors are preferring to create themed classes, like pirate themed class. And you can get help from AI to generate a course welcome for you. Here is an example of the prompt I wrote: write an inspiring course welcome for tourism students that encourages growth and future success. And I want it to be motivational, and it generated an excellent output for me, like, welcome to the world of hospitality and tourism. This course is your first step towards shaping memorable experiences for guests and communities worldwide. Like this, it continues, and you can take this and put it in your syllabus to motivate your students. The next thing you can do when you're preparing for the course, and of course, upload your syllabus and ask the AI to generate a quiz, multiple choice quiz from your syllabus. This is very important because we all know that students do not really read the syllabus, but this is going to force them to read the syllabus, and you're going to be able to quickly create this quiz using AI. And one example, what percentage of your final grade comes from your group projects? Like, the student reads the syllabus and chooses the correct answer. This is what the AI created for us, let's say. And there is a prompt example. You can say, generate 5 multiple choice quiz from the syllabus, but you can say what to include, what to exclude. For example, you can say it to only include the attendance policy, grading policy, and assignment deadlines, which are all, of course, important. So our students do not really need to keep asking us for the information, which is already available in the syllabus, where we already know that they always keep asking us questions from the syllabus. Okay, another way I use AI and is to create project guidelines. So whenever we have a group project, any other project, individual projects, my students always ask me, where are the guidelines? Where can we find the guidelines? Because guidelines tell them the path to follow. And in the past, it was taking me days, essentially, to generate that. And it wasn't very clear. I was always missing important points in the guideline. However, now I get help from the AI to generate a project guidelines for me. Moreover, I ask it to create templates for me. So templates, report templates for my students. So based on these templates, our students can generate their reports, because they always ask you, what is the format we need to follow? What is the font size? We will already have a template quickly generated using AI. And you can also create a checklist for an exam, for any assessment, and they can use this checklist to get ready. They know what to expect, and they can check if they are ready for the assessment. Okay. Some other interactive engagement strategies quickly. You can give a prompt to come up with a debate question. So for example, prompting, give me 5 controversial topics in tourism, and it gives you some controversial topics as outputs you can see on the slide, and you can use this to start a debate in the classroom. And you can start also discussion. You can ask for a discussion prompt, like suggest different perspectives on luxury tourism, and it can give you viewpoints based on whether they are travelers, local workers, governments, and you can actually assign different groups. They can be travelers, some students, and some students can be local workers, and from their perspective, you can start a discussion, how they respond to you based on that discussion topic. And one of the things I also love is when I'm doing presentation or workshop like this, I asked ChatGPT to create some icebreaker questions for me. And for example, you can go to your classroom every day, you can come up with an icebreaker question. For example, one day you can ask, if you could design your dream hotel anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? And then from then on, you can start discussing your content in your classes. Other hands-on learning and activities and assessment, some class activities, for example, I suggest interactive activities to teach customer service in hospitality. It told me that role play hotel check-in with difficult guests. So that is something, an activity you can do, play with your students. And assessment format. So for example, you want to come up with creative assessment formats instead of the regular assessment formats we use. And it can ask AI to come up with a unique project idea. For example, I asked creative assessment ideas for tourism students, and it told me design a mock travel itinerary for eco-tourists. So students present their itineraries and explain sustainable choices. Of course, if you know that students prefer and enjoy instructors that are funny, and most of us sometimes we are not very funny people. And for example, I cannot make a lot of jokes in my classes, but they like jokes, and you can ask AI to help you with the creating a joke. I don't know how funny this is, but I ask AI, give me a light tourism or hospitality joke I can use in the classroom. It said, why did the tourist bring a ladder to the bar? Because the drinks were on the house. So basically, the drinks are on the top of the house, right? So they need a ladder. I don't know. This is funny to me, but you can, of course, ask for other funny jokes. And then other things you can do, very important real-world examples, because when I notice is when I connect the concept I'm teaching to a real world example, I see spark in their eyes. So they get very interested, but it is very difficult for us instructors to find a lot of real world examples and for the contents that we are teaching, and AI can help you with that. And you can even make up scenarios. For example, create a fictional case study for crisis management in tourism. So for example, imagine you're going to tell your students, imagine there is a luxury resort hit by a sudden hurricane, flights are canceled, 500 guests are stranded. So brainstorm some ideas, response strategies, role play, communication, etc. You can play this in your classes. What I do uniquely, actually, I don't know if other instructors are really doing that, but I ask AI to generate memes which are educational or conceptual, or sometimes because these are helpful to helpful with the retention of the information, or because it's funny and it is also conveying a concept at the same time. It helps with retention. And but you don't always have to use a conceptual meme. You can ask AI to create a funny meme. Actually, after 2 prompts, it created this meme to me. You can see when the airline sells 200 tickets for 180 seats. This is when you want to start discussion about overbooking. It says musical chairs aviation edition. Maybe you know what musical chairs is. That is a game we played in our childhood. Basically, there are certain amount of seats in the middle, and around it people are dancing, and they stop the music, but there are not enough seats for everybody that are dancing. Whoever sits down is winning, and whoever couldn't sit down basically loses it, right? This is a musical chairs game. So they are creating an aviation edition for it. The AI did for me. So you can create some memes and cartoons like that. Okay, so when it comes to creating assessments, it saved a lot of time because I was able to create a lot of practices for my students, which always they ask, practice, practice, practice. So you can create from your slides, from your lecture notes, from your recordings, you can generate multiple choice questions easily, true, false, fill in the blanks. That helps our students to practice. You can even create multiple versions of the same quiz to prevent cheating. You can align your questions with the learning objectives you want to achieve, even maybe organized questions based on their difficulty level. And of course, you can also provide detailed feedback answers. If they choose the wrong question, wrong answer, it automatically generates a feedback. So here is an example for a prompt. I'm not going to test this, but if you're interested, you can try it yourself. I'm asking here to ChatGPT to generate 10 MCQ multiple choice questions, and each question should have 4 answer choices. As I said, our prompt should be very detailed, and mark the correct answer by putting an asterisk, and then immediately before it, and don't add explanation, answers, or extra formatting. I said keep the output clean so it can be imported directly into Get Marked. So Get Marked is another app. I'm not sure if it's available to you in your university. At University of South Florida, we have access to Get Marked. It's also a type of AI that basically helps us to take the ChatGPT output, which has multiple choices, right? It helps to directly upload it to Canvas. Canvas is the educational platform that we are using. So you don't have to waste time typing in every question to your educational platform. GetMark automatically uploads and create the Canvas quizzes for you, practices for you. All right, so the next part is I want to talk about rubrics and how important the rubrics are and how AI helps us to create rubrics. First of all, if you never used rubrics, I highly suggest using rubrics once transformational for me because It gives instant feedback to our students. They know what they're missing. They know which areas they can improve. And it creates consistency across your grading. It ensures fair grading. And it prevents any conflict between you and the students, because if students come and ask for points from TA or you can show your rubric and justify your grade that you gave to the student. And then I also provide the rubrics before the exams, so students know what to expect, and they even do assess themselves with a mock exam. So they know what they're getting into when they're getting into the exam. And of course, this helps them to be more successful. So they can use rubrics for self or peer assessment. When it comes to AI, it is very easy to generate these rubric for us. If you never generated rubric with an AI, start simple. Just what you can do, upload your assessment. If it's an exam, upload your exam. If it's a quiz, upload your quiz and ask it to generate a rubric from it. And you can ask, and you can also tell about your learning outcomes, and it can perfectly align the rubric with the learning outcomes. And it can also generate a feedback to students with a friendly language, understandable language in their level. So as I said, you can just upload your exam and ask it to create the rubric for you. However, there are things you need to consider. First of all, you need to enter the question. Here I give an explanation, give an example to the question. Explain 2 benefits and 2 challenges of sustainable tourism for local communities, and provide 1 example to support your answer. So it needs to know the format of your assessment, right? It needs to know the questions, and it also needs to know what is the point assigned to each question, because based on that point, it's going to generate the rubric. So the criteria, what is important for you? Are you going to grade for the clarity? Are you going to look at the evidence usage? What is it that you are looking for? Define those. And also 4 level scales, performance levels needs to be defined. Like I usually use that 4 level scales: excellent, good, fair, and poor. And each are, of course, a score is associated with them. Here is a prompt example here to save time. I'm not gonna enter this. If we have time, we can take a look at it. But essentially, I put in this prompt everything I talked about. What I usually do, create a rubric for each question. If it's each of them 10 points, because different questions can have different points. So we need to be careful. Each question might have different rubrics. So for each question, I create a rubric. So for the question we gave example to, I asked use 5 criteria and 4 performance levels. And here is what it generated for me. And in the meantime, when I'm discussing with you, you can use ChatGPT and generate the same rubric for yourself and see how it works. So here, based on excellent, good, fair, poor, and each associated with 2 points, the total must be 10. Of course, each point is given to different criterias, and you can just choose if the response is excellent, good, fair, or poor. Well, what I do is we use Canvas, as I said, in our university, and we have Canvas rubrics. I take this, I enter this to Canvas rubric, and very simply grade my students' exam. All I do is click on the button. So I click in this, I click in that, this, like that. It automatically calculates the points and sum those up. So it's a very fair grading, very quick grading. It helps me, especially with a lot of students. Okay, sometimes some instructors like me might want to come up with some creative assignments, and I'm just going to suggest those to you. Some of those I employ in my classes, especially when we want to teach our students how to use AIs. these assignments can help. So one assignment is a theatrical demonstration of concepts. So we can tell our students to create a theatrical script using AI, and then play that and record that in a video. And this can be one assignment. It helps with communication skills, interpersonal skills, a lot of advantage besides getting becoming familiar with the use of AI. And creating educational musical videos. So in this semester, for example, I am having my students create educational music videos using AIs to generate the lyrics and compose the song and generates the images, and they're going to put together those to create a video for K-12 students, because we want to simplify engineering concepts for K-12 students and make learning more engaging for them. And then poetry. So you can have your students get the help from an AI, come up with a poem that they can share in the class. Of course, these poems has to be related to the concepts you are teaching, and also visual storyboards, like they can use images for creating educational content, and some visual storytelling they can perform. Yes, okay. All right. Another way that using AI effectively is when you are assigning group projects. So every one of us knows group projects sometimes problematic, because even though it is very effective in teaching them how to work with a team, communicate, however, usually there are some struggles. Some of the students are working, some of the students are not working. So to solve this issue, you can create a assignment. This assignment is a student group contract, and each student at the beginning of the semester, each group comes together and signs these contracts, and in these contracts they clearly define what is individual roles and responsibilities, how they are going to meet, what is the frequency, which platform they're going to use to meet together, and if there's a conflict, how they going to resolve it. So I just asked AI to help me create that, and the output was really amazing. Actually, let me show the prompt here if you want to be inspired by this. Essentially, I tell AI to create a template for the group project, for a certain class, for a certain course. I tell it to create fill in the blank section so each student can sign or enter their name, group information, roles and responsibilities, communication tools, deadlines, conflict resolution plan, and the signature region. You can either enter this to ChatGPT, which ChatGPT can just directly give you the Word or PDF. However, I asked my Gamma app, and it generated something like this. It generates in different formats, but you see, incredible. So basically, you're going to give this as an assignment to your students in the beginning of the class, so the group members can come together, get together, and they agree on certain things, and they sign this contract, so they work together more smoothly. So they enter the group member names, they assign their duties, they're going to figure out which platforms they're going to use to meet, and meeting schedule, deadlines, if they miss a deadline, what is the consequence, how they're going to resolve the conflict, and they all agree and sign and submit this to me. This way we don't have to wait for them. They don't usually wait at the end of the semester to meet. This helps with that. Yes, and I mean, this I generated this in 1 second, so it is very helpful. All right. Let's do an activity. So then, which strategies you find most interesting? What course enhancement strategies do you think you found most interesting? Are there any one of those strategies you actually want to implement in your classes? Or have you done these before? Yes.
Thank you. I am using AI to improve my syllabus and welcome messages and coming up with ideas for in-class activities.
Yes.
But I 100% love the idea of group contract, group project contract, which will bind the students with concrete rules. I will definitely use it because this semester I split the classroom into groups and I gave them group projects. But I wish we had this workshop before. Then I would have been able to prepare the contract for the students. That's a very interesting idea. I love it.
Yes, it helped me a lot because in the past there were always students coming to my office. They were like, this person is not working, this person never showed up, and then this helped to resolve those. Now I have not really any student coming to complain because this helps them. If there is a conflict, this helps them to resolve it in between themselves, essentially.
Absolutely, absolutely. I
Yeah.
will definitely integrate this idea in the upcoming semester. Definitely.
Thank you. I mean, I'm happy that there's something beneficial that you like for your classes. Okay, so I'm gonna continue. Um, so as I said, this technology is kind of scary, and with new technology that comes the problems and concerns, which are all valid. Of course, let's think about what these concerns can be. First of all, the generated output might be wrong. So we need to use our own judgment and analyze the output and making sure it is correct. And this happened to me many times. Um, how does it generate a wrong output? It fabricates data. How does it fabricate data? We call this hallucination. We call it AI hallucinated. It is because essentially, remember, we learned how it works, right? It looks at the database and identifies patterns. And if you ask something, and if it looks at its database and it cannot find in its database what you are asking for, it's just going to make it up. It's going to fabricate it. And then that's why they're coming up with different models that are more suitable for research because they are training them differently, which Seden is going to talk about the research tools. And of course, academic integrity is a huge concern because it is very easy to cheat and do plagiarism with AI. It can just create your essay for the students very easily. And it is very difficult to detect them either. And it also might diminish the critical problem solving skills for our students if we rely on AI a lot for every task. And this is also something to think about. And of course, there are ethical considerations like bias in AI outputs. Why does it have a bias? Because we train it by our responses, we train it. So if there is a person that has a bias, and it trains it, we input some information there, it takes it and puts it in database, so it might generate an output that is biased. And of course, privacy concerns, so we don't want to really share anything private with the AI. And there are interesting things, environmental concerns. I wasn't aware of that, but by certain students were rejecting the use of AI in my assignments because of the damage AI causes in the environment. Because when we are training AIs, it requires a huge amount of energy. Of course, we know every time we use energy, we release toxic gases and damaging to the environment. And this is some concern for certain people. Because of those, actually, those concerns, 42%, according to a recent study, the source is in the slide, 42% of faculty already banned using AI in the classrooms. However, there are instructors that are open to using AI, but they're not feeling confident, especially older instructors was reported they are not feeling very confident using AI tools. So what does it mean? Of course, it is okay if you're an instructor that is against AI. You just have to be transparent You just have to share this with your students. And if you want to prevent cheating, there are options for you. Okay, but if you are an instructor that wants to increase your confidence levels, you just need to attend and try things like this workshop you need to attend, or other workshops your universities are offering within your institution, to educate yourself so that we educate our students better. So AI usage is inescapable. So our students are already using those. One of the reasons is because of the heavy workloads and tight deadlines, of course. And then in addition to that, we don't really have clear guidelines. Now, for the first time this semester, I had to add some guidelines to my syllabus. Before then, I didn't have anything because I'm requiring the use of AI. Of course, I need to add other stuff. But some clear guidelines, students don't know where the limits are, what they can do and what they cannot do. So instead of banning and prohibiting the use of AI, we might want to educate ourselves, and we might want to teach our students how to use AI more ethically. And there is a detection software, maybe you're aware, but that is Turnitin AI detector. However, it has been creating some issues. It has been reported that there are inaccuracies, inconsistent results, that false positives. So student is very sure that he's telling or she's telling, I didn't use any AI, but my instructor gave me 0 because I was tagged in AI detector. And this creates a conflict between students and the teachers, and teachers cannot really prove if it was AI generated or not. So it is also causing faculty burnout. Faculties are reporting it is taking longer time to them to actually try to detect whether the student used AI or not, instead of enjoying the essays they wrote and grading them. So what some steps we can take is we can basically be transparent. So we can tell them we want them to use AI, or we want them to limited AI usage, or we don't want them to use AI. And we just need to be transparent, and we need to always emphasize human creativity comes first. I think this is the most important thing they need to preserve. So we want to tell them over reliance in AI will diminish those skills for them. So it is important for them not to use AI in the creative tasks. And you can also come up with boundaries if you're going to require AI usage, where they should stop, right? And also very important is you can let them use AI. When they are using AI, you can tell them to analyze the output critically. So if the data generated, is it correct, or what you should improve in this output, what suggestion you can make, what corrections you can make. But to me, the most impactful solution is if we want to prevent AI and also prepare our students for the workforce. So because essentially nowadays for the workforce, these students need to have certain communication, leadership skills, and interpersonal skills. And we all know that regular traditional assessments we have do not really provide those skills to our students. So if we want to basically improve their creativity skills, interpersonal skills, or leadership skills, we need to come up with different assignments. We need to think about a more creative assignments than the regular assignments, traditional assignments we are giving out to our students. And here I'm going to tell you some of those assignments you can assign into your students in your classes. That is basically going to prepare them for the workforce, because they're going to develop skills. In addition to that, they're going to learn the content. And in addition to that, they cannot use really AI doing these assignments. For example, interviews. This semester in my classes, I have my students to go interview a industry professional and to learn about that field of study, how in the industry, what problems they encounter, or how they apply the things we are learning in the class. So they come together, they find an industry professional, and they interview them. Or video-based assignments. You can tell them to theatrically demonstrate some concepts and record themselves when you are doing that. Or of course, presentations are always a good way to assess students' knowledge. Some examples I'm giving here, instead of saying write a report on a sustainable tourism, say like create a 3-minute video explaining sustainable tourism to high school audience. So they're gonna create that video, right? And then instead of telling them summarize an article about hospitality, tell them to interview a local hotel manager about career challenges and record conversation. Okay, so these creative assignments will improve their skills and prepare them for their careers, and of course help some issues that AI can generate. Again, always in this slide, I'm talking about being able to create assessment techniques from your course interactions. That would also help with creativity and authentic responses, having authentic responses. For example, you invited a professional to speak in your classes, and you can ask about like last week's guest speaker and reflect on that speaker's talk. And like this, some experiences you shared, authentic experiences you shared during the lecturing, and you can create your assignments based on that. If you are going to, like I did, require them to actually use AI, you can tell them to analyze the output, as I said. One example I'm going to give here, ask ChatGPT to write an essay on climate change, then critique its strengths and weaknesses and inaccuracies compared to your own knowledge and readings. This is also going to help them to with their critical thinking skills that might be affected by over-reliance on AI. And of course, we talked about ethical considerations. We want to make sure the cheating with AI doesn't happen to ensure fairness, build trust, and promote responsible innovation in an academic environment. As I said, for this, you set your boundaries from day one and teach them how to use responsibly AI to prevent any cheating that can happen. You need to be transparent. You ask them to be transparent, as if they use AI, they can tell you, and list your limits, the guidelines, of course, in the syllabus. Okay, in your syllabus, if you are gonna restrict the usage of AI completely, use this language, say you cannot use AI, and it's gonna be considered as a violation of academic integrity. You can also limit the usage, but you can say you can use it to correct your grammar or brainstorm ideas if you want to, and then, but don't use AI to come up with new ideas or creative tasks. And if you don't have any restrictions, you can tell your students you can use AI for certain tasks, but please refer the AI. Let me know. So in this semester, as I said, I required them to use AI. Now, because I require them, I need to come up with a guideline where I have to explain which AI tools I want them to use, because I want them to compose a song, right? There is an AI that can actually compose a song, which is crazy and amazing at the same time. And then it gets the lyrics, and it composes the song, and you can create educational musics and songs for your students. Now, I encountered some issues, essentially. A few students rejected the use of AI. They had strong beliefs. They were like, I don't want to use AI. What can I do? And if you encounter something like this, which you will, if you require AI usage, you need to be flexible. So only solution is to be flexible, because we need to welcome every perspective in our classes, and it's okay to be against it. There is no problem, but we need to come up with alternative assignments, and I did that. Okay, let's do some activities then. Let me ask you, have you ever used AI policy in your syllabus? Or are you planning to redesign your assignments so students cannot really use AI?
Okay, thank you so much, Ipek. As you mentioned, our university, USF, University of South Florida, has its own generative AI policy. So I integrated that policy into my syllabus. But on the other side, I have multiple assignments in one course. So for a couple of assignments, I allow them to work with generative AI, but especially for the reflection papers regarding the guest speakers in the classroom, I usually tell them, do not lean on generative AI so much. I want to read your own words, but you can use AI to polish your assignment. So for each assignment, I have different policy, let's say.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing. Yes,
Thank you.
we need
And
to
by the
do
way, I'm sorry, Ipek. By the way, we have 10 minutes left and we have some questions.
Oh,
So
really?
yes, you thank you so much.
Let me see
Actually,
how many slides.
you are doing an amazing job. Thank you so much. So
Okay, let me see how many slides. I'm about to be done. So can
okay,
I
then
continue?
I will ask you the questions. Okay.
Okay, so as I said, instructors are most of it not feeling confident when they are using AI. They don't know how to use AI, what to do to improve their teaching practices. For that, we need institutional support. As I said, we need free access to AIs for us and for our students. And we need to be offered micro trainings, like quick trainings on how do we come up with syllabus policies, and of course prompt engineering, how do we create better prompts to get better answers from an AI. We should attend workshops like these, and also we need university-wide rules to use AI. And we also at USF, we have a learning community, so all of us come together frequently, share our experiences with AI like this, and we learn from each other. And the university also should send us some newsletters about the new AIs, which AIs can help in our teaching practices. And for the future directions, these are what I think about. Of course, this is an area that is always developing, but it's going to help with personalized learning. And it's going to also have disability support. We're going to have virtual avatars that can actually help with teaching assistants, and intelligent tutoring. So you're going to interact with the AI tutor, and multimodal AIs that can work in different models, right? Voice, text, and video integration. And of course, we still have institutions developing those AI policies, and AI literacy, which is responsible AI usage, is very important, because as we experience it, we learn it. So every time we learn, we are developing and updating those policies. And virtual labs, without going to actual labs, students will be able to do experimentation. And if today my suggestion is, if you have been using AI, that is perfect, and then you can learn from a lot from this workshop, like these workshops. But if you never use AI, I would suggest find an area in your teaching where it takes you a lot of time. For example, it's taking you a long time to prepare your assignments, then start from there and start small. Choose one type of AI, and then maybe try two different at the same time and test it, experience it yourself. And as I said, document your experiences, because this documentation can help you to do better prompting in the future, which prompts gave you better answers, and build a community, interact with other instructors, and always check the content that is generated with AI. Educate yourself about AI literacy, meaning responsible use of AI, and then teach that to your students. And of course, this is always changing. We are always learning every day new things, and we are improving ourselves. Okay, so I was going to ask everybody, maybe I can ask Seden and everyone in the audience, what is the most valuable takeaway from today's workshop, and how you will apply it? If you would like to answer, please. You can, in the short term, which ones do you want to apply? Do you like to apply? In the long term, which changes you are planning to do that is inspired by this talk. All right, everyone, that ends my presentation. Thank you very much, Sedan. And then if you guys have any questions for us, these are our email addresses. You can email us your questions and we will do best to reply and find you the best answer.
Thank you so much, Ipek. Maybe you can stop share your screen, and I have a couple of questions here. Yes, you stop share. Okay. I have a couple of questions here. Maybe we can answer them together. You and I together answer those questions. Of course, I will ask the questions first to you.
That's difficult.
Okay. No, not difficult questions. Cesar Zerman is asking, do you officially recommend AI to your students, and or how you integrate AI practices to your syllabus? So during the presentation, you kind of already answered these questions. And but what is your personal perspective? Let's say in one or two sentences.
In all honesty, in an academic environment, I cannot suggest anything to students. I cannot tell them. I don't even share them my personal view, because everybody is different. As I said, we need to welcome different perspectives, but we also need to keep an open mind. I don't think saying AI is a very good tool, we should all use them, or we should totally ban it, it's a horrible. These are not good perspectives, because the future is changing, and then we should be open-minded. And I never really share my perspective, but I came up with this assignment that requires AI. As I said, even with that, I was flexible and welcoming. Because the assignment I came up with, they can only do it with an AI unless they play musical instrument. But some of them told me they want to generate the musical lyrics themselves and write the song themselves with their musical knowledge. But I said, yes, you can perfectly fine doing that, and we are flexible. That's what I would answer.
Okay, thank you so much. Another question, Mohammed Halal is saying that, first of all, he says, many thanks for this perfect workshop. How can AI positively affect our reading, given that we now have quicker access to answers? So it is kind of like we are being more and more lazier because there is
Yes.
a ready answer waiting for us whenever we need. It's like audiobook, right? We don't read anymore. We just listen the book or podcast. So how is AI is going? I mean, going to impact that? Do you have any idea?
Yes. Well, I am noticing in myself. I don't know everyone else, but when I see a large text now, I cannot read it. It's overwhelming to me. In the past, it wasn't like that, because one of the reasons now, we don't really have time, and I want to digest the information there, but I don't want to. I cannot even, when I see the words, like they get blurry in front of me. So so people learn differently. First of all, let's say that some people love reading and learning from it, and I want visuals. For me, if I can convert this text to a video with images and words with music and sound, that is best for me. And which AI can do that. That's why it is amazing, because it's going to be personalized learning, right? It's going to support different learning modalities. And for reading, yes. So whichever one you prefer, essentially my answer is, I nowadays I don't have time to read. Even if I watch YouTube videos, I do 2x increase speed because I don't have time, but I want to listen to what the person is saying. So in an interview or something, I increase the speed of it and listen. But listening is good. Now we can achieve that from the text to speech, and then videos, creative images, everything. So it's going to help us learn better. It's actually doing that. I'm learning a lot of things. Normally, it would take me ages to learn these things.
That's correct. You're right. You're right. Thank you. We have another question here from LinkedIn. based on your experience, are there any notable differences between the various AI platforms, like between Grok and ChatGPT, in terms of their effectiveness and reliability in teaching? And this participant says that I hear a lot about ChatGPT, but I am a loyal Perplexity user.
Well, I think, Sedan, you can answer this better. I would say I don't have a very extensive. I tried every other AI tool, but I ended up always using ChatGPT for some
ChatGPT.
reason, because I essentially don't even enter text. I talk with it. I talk with it when I'm driving. I learn from it when I'm driving. I'm constantly in conversation with it. Of course, not every AI tool supports that. That is something I prefer. But yes, there are differences, and it is very difficult to say which one is the best. As I said, you need to experience it yourself. But for some reason, for example, I always ended up going back to ChatGPT. Like if you are going to work on coding, some AIs are better at coding. So what are you looking for? If you're gonna do create codes, I think I don't know if I should say names here, but some AIs are better than others. And if you're gonna generate data and do research, some AIs are better than others. And but I think, Sedan, you might have more experience comparing Grok and.
Yeah, I mean, I am using Grok and ChatGPT, but I think I kinda agree with you. I always go back to ChatGPT, even though sometimes Grok's responses are way detailed and better than ChatGPT. I
Mhm.
think it's because this language learning models or generative AI started with ChatGPT. All the others came after ChatGPT, so I think it's because of that. I also lean to go back to GPT all the time. Um, but Grok, I mean, XAI is better than creating images. I
Mm.
especially experienced that one. When I prepare a presentation, if I need AI generated content, I use both. Always Grok's response, I mean, Grok's images better than GPT.
That's
But
good.
again, I agree with you. I mean, everybody should experience, and we are training our own AI. So we are training our own language learning models. They are learning from us. They are learning what we expect from them. So it's going to be different to everybody.
Yes, and some of them are they can learn their name. They can learn your name and your preferences, like ChatGPT does that. It says welcome Ipek, so it calls me by my name and
Yeah.
personalized responses, right? It knows like I'm vegetarian, so it suggests me, if I ask a recipe for that day, it suggests me some vegetarian recipes. So but this is good, but it's also scary in the sense it is collecting your data. You might want to think about the privacy. So if you have privacy concerns, I would say Cloud was really good recently. I
Mhm.
interacted with it. I like the language, the simple and good interaction I had with Cloud. And yeah. So these things are to be experienced by the person. I think it's a personal choice.
Yes.
Uh, yes.
I agree with you. And last, I will take your last words, especially what skills do you think that we educators need to develop in in the AI era, in the AI world? I mean,
What
you kind of
skill?
answered the questions like and attending this type of workshops and everything, but experience, right? We need experience with AI.
Yes, so we need to first experience it ourselves. We need to learn from the workshops and other people. And I think coming together with other instructors has been very beneficial for me. Hearing their experiences, what problems they encounter, because we are in this together right now. This is something developing every second, and we are learning and experiencing it together, and that's why we need to keep sharing our experiences with us. We need to learn from those. Even I just sharing you the experiences I had in my classes. I didn't expect students coming to me saying they don't want to use AI. I didn't even imagine that, because I mean there are opinions like that, and I didn't know what to do. I learned from that experience, and I'm sharing with you. But the tools and skills, like prompting skills, are important if you want generate a good output. I learned that even some companies hiring people who had good prompting skills, because good prompting is important in the sense uh, you can get the desired output from the AI. Um, but the skills you need to experience and learn it from for yourself, because only when you experience it yourself you learn what to do, and then you can share.
Okay, you're right. I mean, that's correct. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today with this workshop, Teaching with AI. It was an amazing workshop. Thank you, Ipek.
Thank you.
I learned a lot. I mean, I'm sure audience learned a lot. And it is recorded, so all the participants who registered for the workshop will receive an email from us, and they will be able to watch the recording whenever they want. So last announcement, in about 25 minutes we will have another workshop. It's going to be with me and with Ipek again. It is about research with AI. So come back to YouTube, join us, and share your experience with us. We will also try to share our knowledge and experience about research in AI. So see you in 25 minutes. Have a wonderful, like, 25 minute break.
See you everyone, have a nice day. Bye.